There has been some absolute great Planet of the Apes movies, but there's also been some terrible ones. But where does this new one hold up against some of those older ones? Let's find out in just a second. But before we jump right into all that jazz, hit the like button, that'd be much appreciated. Let's get into it. So what are my thoughts on the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? For me, I think this was a great solid sequel and a great way to return to this iconic franchise. And to me, we obviously saw like the Rise, Dawn and War sort of collection, and this fits onto the end of that, as to me it feels like that sort of movie, of that ilk of film, that style of film. But then you've also got this addition of using the old plot lines and the old storylines from the original 1968 movies onward. And for me, I liked that. It sort of merged the two ideas together, and that's why we got a sense of that was a good film. And even though it weren't perfect, and in my opinion, out of those four newer films, I think this one might be the weakest one. But it's not like, oh, it's terrible, it's bad, there's this that's wrong about it. It's nothing like that. I think it's just a solid sequel. But for me, I think the Cesar trilogy is just the best way to illustrate and to demonstrate what the Planet of the Apes films are to many people who enjoy Planet of the Apes films. I think the best Planet of the Apes film will always be the 1968 movie, but they brought the enjoyment back into the franchise with the Cesar trilogy of the modern day. I think the whole sequel being about human and being about ape trust was a bit like, have we seen this before? Does this seem a little bit familiar? And it seems like every Planet of the Apes movie presents that same feeling, in which might annoy me slightly, but isn't that what the Planet of the Apes films are about? That's what I would say. But I think that was a main common theme. Can you trust humans? And even though the main arc of the story was about Noah trying to get back his family as his tribe was ripped apart and all these tribes came together in a big huddle of the kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That's all the whole film's about. And then Noah wanting to get his tribe back out of this huddle because he doesn't believe in the overall arc of why they're coming together, which is the fake Cesar bringing them all together, acting like what needs to happen is to destroy anything human and to not get along with humans, in which he didn't necessarily believe or believe against it. He sort of like sits on the fence a little bit, Noah, and he gets presented as that because he sees trust in Nova several times during this film, but then sees times where he loses a little bit of trust here and there. And I think that is something that I think they're going to try to build up to in a future film. And we'll get onto the future film later because I do think there will be another one. But no, I think that the whole Nova and Noah situation was very, very weird and felt very, very similar to what we've seen in previous Planet of the Apes films. And this is something that never seems to get away from the Planet of the Apes franchise. The human and ape hatred for each other, or the untrustworthiness between the two. On the villain, I felt that the fake Cesar imitating the real Cesar and saying that, oh, he said these sorts of things and that we should believe in this sort of prophecy and everything like that, felt a bit generic and felt a little bit like, okay, I can see what they're doing, but it felt that as if he was a forced villain, like, oh, he's the next villain coming in, guys. Well, let's present him as a big villain without actually presenting him as a big villain, because I thought it was going to be the big King Kong looking fucker. However, then it turned out not to be him, and then it looked like a guy that sort of looked like a hench version of Cesar. And to me, yeah, it just feels like we've seen that type of villain several times before, but we've seen better villains within the Planet of the Apes franchise post 2010. It's just like the ones in the 10s with Rise, with Dawn, and War. It seems as if we're regressing a little bit in terms of villain quality, and seems like anybody could have come up with this idea of a Cesar wannabe. But to me, he weren't a bad villain. I'm just saying that they could have come up with something more original like we saw in the other films. With the ending, I thought it was great of the Cesar wannabe being taken down by these eagles, in which were part of the tribe that Noah was in, where his family basically got captured and whatever, but he managed to free the eagles. before his dad died and the rest of it. And I think it was such a great story arc. And it came around full circle because it was like, why are these like eagles following him and stuff like that? Those little things were plotted all the way through the film, and then they were sort of foreshadowing the ending of them coming together and fighting against this fake Cesar, and they did, and it was sort of like, okay, that's the ending. But the villain, I was expecting some big dramatic fight scene like we saw in War and Dawn. However, we didn't get to see that full-on thrill action ape versus ape in which I fully expected. The actual end scene of the film though was very, very interesting, as Nova takes the chip that she tricked the apes into finding for her and getting her into this place, and then when she does that, she gets the chip, basically drowns most of the apes, and then runs away and sends this chip to her own people, who managed to use that to call upon using their satellites to beam out. And it seems that they've got a connection in which could look like, if you remember in the 1968 Planet of the Apes, where the ship ends up crashing down into the water. I think it's going to lean up to a new Planet of the Apes remake for that genuine reason. And also, in that end scene as well, we saw that Nova went to go visit Noa, and she had a gun behind her back, which could have meant that she was trying to kill Noah, which was the genuine reason. However, after the friendly sort of discussion, or sort of like, not a heated debate, sort of like a steady debate, but I don't know if she thought it was going to get out of control and she was just going to shoot him. I'm not sure. But it seemed as if there was a bit of tension building between those two, and I hope that if they make another movie, it is based around that, because they've got to build on this if they're going to do another movie. So to summarise, Planet of the Apes, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, whatever this film is called, I think that this is a 7.5 out of 10 and a great film. So let me know down in the comments down below, did you enjoy this film? Did you hate this film? Did you love this film? Did you despise this film? Let me know all that jazz down those comments down below. And also, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and I shall see you fine folks in the next one. Laters.